Evelyn and Xaxus is gone here for Shook. If it's first pick worthy, I'm not sure we're gonna see what Alliance decide to do, but I love their bans. They're simply targeting everything Roccat used to win against Gambit and used to win against SK in Game 1.
And Rise, obviously, it becomes almost that double ban. Both Overpow and Tabzz have played that already this season, so almost an easy choice on that front. Leaves, of course, Renekton open. Will that be the choice here as first pick for Alliance to go into that mid lane with the man you scream Wickd?
And it's very, very smart if they pick Renekton here, because Wickd only played Shyvana outside of the champions being banned away and now the Renekton being picked. So if Roccat would have picked up Renekton, he would have to go Shyvana against it and would have been a hard matchup early on. So I like the fact they actually first pick it, and also due to both Ilyas and Lee Sin being open, they can just give it one jungler to Roccat, take one for themselves.
Yeah, and let's not forget, of course, Wickd won that one and only game against Fnatic on that Renekton yesterday. So he's, I think he's 4 wins, 3 losses so far on Renekton. So he's actually breaking just slightly better than even. Ilyas, as you mentioned, locked in for Jankos, or Jankos as we were calling him yesterday, because frankly, once he gets Ilyas, he is all over the map and still creating problems for anyone that he's up against. We'll see how it works out for him. Final choice for them. Looks like it will be Lucian for Celaver.
So Lucian for Celaver, very, very standard pick for both him and Tabzz actually. Tabzz really favored Lucian, and whenever Lucian was gone, he would then go for Caitlyn or he would go for Twitch. So if he locks into Caitlyn here, we can see Froggen on maybe a split push champion, and then they can do this 1-3-1 they love to do. On the other hand, if he locks in Twitch or Vayne, we can actually see some Ziggs or maybe a Nyph from Froggen to stay and wave clear in the mid lane.
And the first 3 games of playoffs away, Jankos performed incredibly well on Ilyas. Against Gambit, 5-2-9 and then 6-0-7. The first game against SK was when he had that ridiculous match, 9-0-8 he ended with Ilyas in Game 1 against SK Gaming. Of course, that didn't quite work out for them in the end. His Kha'Zix and Nyph weren't enough to bring them through. Right now, Alliance sat with Warwick and Karma. Now, I almost don't want to talk about the Warwick, until that actually gets
Definitely don't want to talk about Yorick.
Don't want to talk about Yorick. Please no, Yorick, we're looking at you. Yeah, so they're going to switch to Lee Sin, a much more standard pick for Shook.
Yeah, very standard for Shook. Of course, again, Xaxus and Evelyn is the go-to junglers for him. Once they're gone, he needs to fall back on Ilyas or Lee Sin. Lee Sin was left open. There you go. Standard pick. Good early game pressure for him. We need to, of course, remember the mobility of jungle Lee Sin has been changed a little bit, so now there's longer cooldown on his safeguard if you use it to a minion or a ward, but if you use it on himself or to a friendly player, it's actually reduced cooldown, so it's going to go down to 7 seconds.
Yeah, and I believe Nyph played Karma all 3 games against Fnatic, if memory serves correct. Trundle seems to be the choice that will fall to Xaxus. That's been locked in, so not really too surprised there up against the Renekton. He will tumble back towards that champion. Leona may well get picked up here. Leona alongside with an Ilyas. They have some pretty heavy, hard engagement there.
And it's funny with these picks here, it's almost like we're a few patches back now, where we saw Renekton in every game, we saw Trundle in almost every game, and look at the junglers. Ilyas and Lee Sin are the 2 top junglers. Of course, with the newer changes, Xaxus and Evelyn came in there, but they're gone. They're not here in this game. And at the same time, with Ryze and Jax also gone. So we see very, I would say, old picks compared to the season here, going back to week 8, week 7, and it opens up for the same kind of deal we have seen so many times with, of course, some heavy engage on Rockat's side here, and also the top lane matchup, if they do get to go one-on-one, where one guy will outscale and the other guy will have all the pressure early.
And seems like a very comp-specific pick, this Leona, because if you look through what VandeR's played all season, he's only actually had 1 game on Leona. That was the final match of the Spring Split regular season against Fnatic, where they ended up losing out on that game. And actually they did also have an Ilyas in the jungle there. We'll see if they build a comp around that. For Alliance, we can say Caitlyn locked in for Tabzz, and Froggen gonna have Nidalee in the mid lane.
Quickly going back to the Leona pick here. For me, it shows whenever Thresh is gone, VandeR doesn't really know what to play. He's playing so many different things and never really anything that stands out. We're saying, okay, this is his 2nd best champion. There's so many options for him. So decided to go with Leona this time. Poke comp though from Alliance here. Siege and poke comp, Caitlyn and Nidalee. The whole idea here is that Wickd wins his lane up top. Shook helps out the mid lane and the bottom lane, gets them ahead early on, and then Wickd split pushes top lane for the first 25-30 minutes, and then you just stand in front of the turret with Caitlyn, with Nidalee, and you just poke away with Karma, of course, for the disengage. And if you land a spear onto Roccat, they need to back away from the turret. You pick it up and you can just continue to move on.
Yeah, and Roccat falling back to the traditional style of leaving the last choice for Overpow. It seems that Ziggs will be that choice. He's going to have some good wave clear. We've seen a number of good Ziggs. Froggen himself played a fantastic Ziggs yesterday against Fnatic, but it wasn't to be for them. But we haven't seen, honestly, Overpow team playing too much Ziggs this year. He tends to try and play a wide range of champions throughout the LCS.
Yeah, the funny thing is, when you talk with Roccat, they don't even know what Overpow actually plays, because he decides by himself in the champ select, I want to play Mordekaiser now, I want to play Akali, and he can pick it because the team trusts him. They know how good he is. So the Ziggs pick here is obviously his call. It's very, very smart when you're against this poke comp, because you need to be able to wave clear with Lucian. Very strong wave clear. Trundle, of course, in the top lane. They're just going to wait for him to get the point where he gets very strong, and they can actually start fighting back against the Lions.
Very excited to see how this bottom lane does. As you mentioned, Leona, not a standard pick in there for VandeR. We've seen actually he's gone to more the likes of Annie or Morgana rather than going the Leona direction. With that Karma support already locked in there, though, obviously not wanting to play the Annie. Do we think we're going to see any lane swaps coming in from the setups that we've got here?
Well, in 4.5, we should always expect lane swaps, is how it is. And it's actually funny with both these teams. They've been some of the worst here in the playoffs at lane swaps. That's one of the reasons they're down here, actually. So we need to see how they work it out.
Well, with the third place match on the line, let's check in to see how you voted for this series. According to LOLesports.com, it's a close one with barely anyone ahead. Alliance just edging it by 51%.
Very, very close voting, and honestly, we have to agree. I mean, Roccat came into this playoff as one of the underdogs, but really performed 2-0 Gambit. And against SK, the first game they were so strong. Yes, they had issues later on, but still, we have to agree with this voting. It's so close.
Yeah, and something that's actually rang true throughout the entire season is the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth place have all actually finished that way in the playoffs so far. Could it be an omen for the finals? Will it be an omen for the third place matchup? Alliance did finish third in the league. Roccat finished fourth. We'll see if it works out that way in the playoffs, because we are live, ladies and gentlemen, for the third place matchup. Alliance as the blue team facing off against Roccat as the red team.
We've been seeing quite a lot of action at level 1 throughout the playoffs so far. Excited to see how that all starts to form here as well in this one. As you mentioned, the pressure is somewhat off these teams right now. Yes, they're still fighting for third and fourth position. The winner taking the third, of course. That was kind of obvious. But they've lost that pressure of, are we fighting for our livelihoods, for our careers here as professional gamers in the LCS? That's all gone from them now. So whether that means we'll see any more interesting moves, more risky plays out of the two teams, we'll have to wait and see. Up till now, doesn't look like it. It's a solid 5-man line across both sides of the maps. But we also have to say the invades that we've been seeing have been delayed. Yeah,
it's always, or normally it's late invades around the 150 mark, because it's more safe, simply because you expect people to actually be in the lanes and not 5 people waiting in a bush to just face check into them. So let's see if there will be late invades. A thing I noticed early on here is the exhaust onto Wickd, where we have teleport onto Xaxus on Trundle here. It's going to mean the 1v1 potential for Wickd is going to be higher. However, he won't be able to split push late game, because that's where Trundle can just push out the wave and teleport down to his team. If Wickd is up there with his own team, he won't be able to join the fight. And that is a big disadvantage for Alliance.
Yeah, both mid laners also picking up the heal. Oh, Tabzz going straight in there. He's going to get caught out with the Zenith Blade. Quickly locked up. Exhaust was used, but he does flash out of it. That was very dangerous play. Tabzz seeming just be wandering around that corner.
And both summoners gone here from Tabzz. Only Exhaust was used on the side of Roccat, so very good start for him. Also, Tabzz actually needs to recall early on, so he's going to fall very far behind in XP.
It's going to mean he comes back into this lane very, very late. We already see that Celaver and VandeR have been working through those minions there. Nyph left alone to defend in that bottom side of the map. The junglers, of course, just went back off onto their paths, with Ilyas getting the blue buff, Lee Sin picking up his red right from the start. We'll see where they make their first impacts after they've secured those double buffs.
And the thing we just saw here is the reason why often both teams decide to late invade, because if you just stand back and wait and the other team makes a move onto you, there's a high chance you get in a disadvantage, like we saw here. Yes, Roccat didn't get a buff, but they forced Tabzz to go back at level 1 and both his summoners.
Yeah, and Tabzz, of course, falling way behind in terms of CS. He has to try and make every single one of these tower hit minions count. He does manage to clean up, gets 6 minions out of that. It's not a bad wave. Gets the full cleanup wave. So teleport was used in the top lane as well. Jankos used that to get himself back up to the top. Junglers have been and gotten both of their red buff and blue buff respectively. So we'll see how Wickd does up against the Trundle here. He looks like he's going to get some support from Shook. No, he's chosen to back away. No, he is going to go towards the tri-bush, but as you can see, Jankos is nearby.
He's there for the counter gank. Look at the early ward here from Wickd. So they spot Jankos. He can bait this one out, and then Shook is there already waiting in the bush to join in very, very fast.
Could be a bit of danger here. Will Xaxus decide to push away? We can see that Jankos is going to move on through, and this is going to be surely obvious. So Roccat, Shook waiting in there. The pillar goes down. Xaxus hit by the Q. The exhaust is on him as well. It's going to be good damage, but will it be enough damage? Shook actually falling quite low as well. He has to safeguard away. No kill coming out there in the top lane.
And Roccat actually managed to get a lot of damage onto Shook and force him to recall because Alliance went on to Xaxus here, the tanky member, where Roccat went on to Shook, who's a lot more squishy than Wickd.
Yeah, Jankos putting some good damage down, proving that at least still can put it down. Nyph getting caught out in this bottom lane. He's taking a lot of damage this time around. Has still got that flash exhaust available, and Tabzz was trying to lay down some damage of his own.
And the thing about this lane here, normally Caitlyn would have the advantage early on. Lucian is going to need a few levels before he can actually trade with her. But because they forced her back, because they got this advantage in levels, they're actually now beating a Karma Caitlyn lane with Leona, at least for now.
For now, we'll see if that can continue here. Nyph going to be poking back, and you have to feel that the junglers are surely going to spend some time down at this bottom side of the map. Shook is actually at this stage of things moving up towards the enemy wolf camp, and will be stealing that one away. Jankos is actually over the other side here doing raids. So for now, Shook not going to be seen there and will be safe to steal that camp away. Will they go for a 3-on-2 dive down the bottom?
Could be very, very risky. Exhaust is almost ready for VandeR. Heal is up for Celaver. He actually took quite a lot of poke here, so he could be a target if Alliance want to go for this one. Remember though, there's no hard CC for Alliance to lock someone down.
The problem is, the moment Jankos came around to that wolf camp, he would say, guys, there is potentially a jungler in that tri-bush, warn them away, which is why he's running straight down in. Now he's going to see his white away. He's going to be heading, look, you can see he was moving, ready to cocoon that tri-bush straight away. Instead, they're going to jump on towards Tabzz. Tabzz takes the tower here, I think there. VandeR taking a lot of damage. VandeR continuing his aggression here, very deep on towards him, considering they realize there was a jungler nearby. This is dangerous, dangerous stuff in the bottom lane.
Yeah, Jankos, he walked past the ward here, so Alliance, they know perfectly well where he is. And once again, Shook is waiting for the counter gank. And there's a ward on him.
Ward straight on top of his head, and nice try by Shook again in the right place at the right time. If Jankos had have stuck around for that one, in the end didn't happen. They got vision of him, and Roccat seemed to be quite willing here to push out this bottom lane a little bit. Celaver did, of course, go very low in that last encounter, so he's going to actually have to recoil away from this one. We'll be coming back into the lane with a second Doran's Blade and a Vamp Scepter, so bit of sustain in there for him as well.
Good sustain. Let's see actually if Tabzz decides to stay in the lane until he can afford the BF sword. It's going to be a big power spike for him, fighting against this Vamp Scepter and double Doran's Blade Lucian.
The mid lane, Froggen is doing a very good job. Of course, he's starting out with that Doran's Ring and doing a fantastic job at keeping up with the Ziggs in that mid lane. And Overpow, you would expect to be trying to shove it. You can see he's using those bouncing bombs to actually clear the way, so he's trying his best to pressure that. But Froggen, now that he's hit level 6, he's easily clawing out, pouncing onto those minions and keeping up very much in the farm, 55 to 56.
A very, very good job, because this is the point now for Nidalee when she can actually start fighting back onto Ziggs. You no longer just rely on landing a spear from max range or from long range and then go in and get a few auto attacks. You can actually go very aggressive in cat form. We see Froggen, he's not scared at all.
Not scared, but he still needs to be a little bit wary of how forward he comes onto this one. Interesting to see when these two mid laners might start moving around the map. Of course, Nidalee with great mobility. Ziggs, who's got his ultimate, which he can throw pretty easily across the entire map there. So we'll see how that one all works out. Meanwhile, this bottom lane did get pushed out, and we can see now that Tabzz has taken over Celaver in the farm, 58 to, well, it's going to be 59 to 54 after that wave comes out. So Alliance doing a good job to get back into it on that side of the map.
And it is also expected to have this, they are expected to have the stronger lane when they obviously bring the Karma. Karma against Leona here, lane matchup wise, a lot of poke from Karma. She's very strong in the lane phase, so they managed to pull back, but still, due to the level 1 part, Roccat has been keeping up so well in the lane, and with the CS here from Celaver, it should be very close to even again.
Well, the top lane, Wicked's doing a very good job at keeping Xaxus pressured. He did go back and get himself a Bilgewater Cutlass, so signaling his intent. He absolutely expects to be pushing that lane hard. Maybe going to go, Froggen actually getting bounced by the explosive satchel charge there, but just launched him in towards him, quickly pounces away. It's going to be hard for Overpow to lock him down.
So Cutlass onto Wickd, so he's going to build it into Blade of the Ruined King, which means he obviously wants to focus 100% on being able to 1v1 Xaxus. It's the same reason he picked this Exhaust. If he can kill Xaxus 1v1, then it doesn't matter there's a teleport, because of course he's going to have all the pressure from Wicked's side. So that's the whole idea. Normally you actually see Tiamat just to wave clear faster and for some more additional damage, but still here, full on 1v1 focus from Wickd, delaying his tankiness as well.
Himself a nice CS lead here though, and VandeR now back in there with a few wards on the bottom side, and quite rightly so, because Shook has shown that he's not scared to come down towards his bottom side. There's Xaxus, after recalling and getting the chain vest, headed straight into this top lane. Teleport down for him right now though, of course. Yeah,
200-second cooldown. Remember, we're on 4.5, so it's not too bad, but if they were to go Dragon, that was fully visible to Alliance. So they know this teleport is going to be down for that 200 seconds. They have the timer on it, so they may try to create something. And you were talking about Rockat's Dragon control being somewhat weak when they're starting to lose those games, and very weak up against SK yesterday.
Yeah, only got one Dragon in the last 2 games against SK, simply because they fell so far behind, and then they could do nothing to get back in the game. This game, however, if you look at the comps, they will, they remind quite a lot of each other. Poke, but VandeR almost landing the ultimate down bot.
Solar Flare coming out there. Nyph did use his flash to get away from that one, so no flash for Nyph. That may make him an easier target for Ilyas, for Jankos to get in there. And one thing that we can safely say, the games that we saw yesterday coming out of Roccat, specifically their first game and their matches the day before against Gambit, Jankos was a massive factor for them in the early stages before the 10-minute mark. We've just hit that 10-minute mark now, and honestly, he's not had any impact so far.
Yeah, and look at Wicked. This is Alliance right here. If Wicked does well in lane, Alliance generally do very well. He can be a bit like Darien, I guess you could say, from Gambit. If he's not doing badly in that top lane, suddenly you actually have an extra facet to your team that can put a lot of pressure down. And the fact that, as you mentioned, he's going to be the split pusher. He's got a 20 CS advantage. It's going to be probably leveled down a little bit as he backs away to base. Xaxus is going to get himself around about 10 CS gained back on that one. But you can see very much going towards that Blade of the Ruined King. Wants to get out that damage. And I wonder, is he going to continue the split push? Is he
all game
long, and that's going to keep the rest of Alliance, of course, with that poke comp, just keeping the pressure, sitting at 4-1 split, constantly going in.
So the issue for Alliance is the lack of hard engage. You have Leone on the other side here to start the fights. Alliance, they need to rely on Shook landing his Sonic Wave and coming in and kicking someone back to the team, or Wicked getting range to stun someone. That's the engage from Alliance. So they need Wicked to win the lane up top. They need him to continue to split push, so they don't have to rely on engaging fights, but can simply force Roccat down to a turret and start sieging away and just hit the turrets. When it comes to straight up team fights, Roccat should have the advantage, especially when it comes to engage due to VandeR and Leona.
And even if they don't do well at the start of those fights, they've got plenty of disengage in there as well. Speaking of that, we've got Shook now headed up towards his top side. Exhaust goes down onto Xaxus, and look at Xaxus, he's moving off to that bottom side. Shook here will be reliant on the Q, which does land, but already in the tri-bush. No vision of Ilyas, not worth it there for Shook to follow through.
And it's going to be very, very hard for Wicked to actually kill Xaxus later in the game, and that's where we see the teleport come in action. But Roccat starting the Dragon because they saw Shook up in the top lane. He's still very close, so he will be able to join in.
Good spear from Froggen, lands, takes half the hit points off Celaver, as you mentioned. Shook already here. Overpow goes aggressive. Shook quickly in there to respond, but Froggen's going to get taken down. That's the first blood. Cocoon on Nyph. Nyph in trouble. He gets pounced on. Another bouncing bomb will tell the story, and that is Celaver that picks it up with a couple of shots from Lucian.
And right there is the hard engage from Roccat. The advantage in team fights, they can set it up. Beautiful play by VandeR, stunning Froggen twice actually, keeping him stun locked and all the burst. Whoa, Shook going for this one.
Shook going in, he realizes he's not going to get the smite down there. And now he got out alive without using his flash actually, so that wasn't too bad considering the dangerous situation, but Roccat were well prepared for that.
Easy take for them. And Tabzz here going to try and stop Wickd from being such an annoyance here. Actually, Wickd going to pop his ultimate. Going to try and put some damage back on towards Tabzz. Tabzz using his subjugate there will steal all that health back, and Wickd realizing, okay, can't really fight at this point of things, so I'm just going to back away from things. Overpow will get his blue buff here. He's got almost that Athene's Unholy Grail finished off, and of course did pick up the first blood as well after managing to lock up Froggen with everything that they had. Froggen himself does have that Athene's done, got himself boots as well, so that might be a sign that Froggen's going to start to move a little bit more around the map.
And risky things for Wickd up here in the top lane. He was tanking the golems, of course, but still, the 1v1 against Xaxus here didn't go well for him, and as we have talked about, he needs to be able to beat Xaxus here. He needs to force him out of the lane. Otherwise, the pressure from Alliance is gone, and they're pretty much going to have to wait for Roccat to make a move and then try and punish them if Wickd can't win by himself.
It's a risky tactic, and putting Wickd on a champion, as we mentioned at the start. There's a 4 wins, 3 losses. Very much broke even on this one up against Xaxus, who has played very well this season. Really sprung onto the scene, especially at the start of the spring split. He really was a runner-up for MVP a number of weeks running, actually. This bottom lane is continuing to have pressure. It's pretty much been Celaver and VandeR that have been doing the pushing the whole time. As you mentioned, it's all down to that very early level 1 play.
Still though, Tabzz and Nyph actually ahead in CS simply also because of their stronger 2v2, and as long as they can continue to farm here, that's pretty much what they can do, because again, the engage is on Rocket's side, so for a Caitlyn and a Karma to actually set up a kill here, they're gonna need Shook to come down, and if Jankos is there too, to turn the fight around. It's what we have seen, both junglers actually follow each other around. Shook once again in this top lane, Jankos is very close by.
Again, reading each other almost like a book there. Shook is still waiting. We will see Ilyas sneak into that top side. Actually will be spotted here as Wickd dashes forward, and there I don't think there's going to be a kill from this, or maybe there will. The cocoon is going to land on towards Shook. He will kick Xaxus straight through. Jankos getting knocked up as well, and again we see the junglers with big focus towards his top lane, but no kills coming out of it.
And again we see Roccat actually winning out the fights here. The ultimate from Xaxus onto Wickd makes him so tanky and so strong. Wickd, he can't even kill him, and then Jankos doing more damage than Shook.
A lot of pressure on Froggen in that mid lane as well, tries to sling out the spear, catches that last minion. He can heal himself up, of course, but as you mentioned, Shook clearly trying to get Wickd going, trying to get the snowball rolling, trying to get that kill on the board in the top lane and really make Xaxus suffer, but Jankos is reading him like a book. He's there every time. The culling comes out from Celaver. He puts a good bit of damage down towards Tabzz and Nyph. They're all on his own, going aggressive. Xaxus in trouble this time. Shook is going to come in. They will get the kill. That's what they needed. Jankos does a lot of damage back down towards him, but this may be the first turret of the game for Alliance.
And the ultimate in the last fight when the junglers was there were used by Xaxus, but Wickd, he kept his own ultimate. So as soon as he got down to the turret, popped it, and just went straight in there for Xaxus and got him so low, Shook could finish him.
Alliance getting that kill back, and that will put Shook on the board, and an assist for Wickd in there as Jankos just taking away the golem, something that Wicked's made a bit of a meal of so far. And you see again, Froggen not at all worried. Obviously wants to play the aggressive game here against Overpow in this mid lane, and really doing a fantastic job of it up until now. Only 5 CS behind overall. Plus, Overpow does have a 1 kill and 1 assist to his name. Actually, single death in there for Froggen. But overall, 400 gold there or thereabouts elite here for Alliance.
And also again, the reason Froggen can be so aggressive, when you got a Fiend, you got blue buff, you have like 33% cooldown reduction, and then you have a summoner heal as well. So you feel so safe, and also your sustain is so well, so good, so you can just go in, trade a few hits, go back and heal off, and do it again and again and again.
We are seeing Xaxus trying to get that Sunfire Cape built up in that top lane. Bladed Rune King was picked up by Wickd, of course. This bottom lane, it's a 3-on-3 potentially, but Jankos is going to walk straight into that ward if he tries to move to the next bush. I think they realize it is there, which is why they're delaying. They're hoping that Alliance are going to go aggressive themselves. Of course, it's entirely possible Nyph could try and throw something out. Sweeping lens by Jankos, making sure he's not seen in that bush, and he is playing a very patient game right now.
And Shook is long gone. He's moved all the way up to the wolf camp here, so he was there at first, so it was a good read, but then he just left. And now they're actually going to push onto this turret, as long as they get past all these stupid traps.
Yeah, 3 of them put down there, just out of, actually smartly enough, in the attack range of Celaver there, so he couldn't actually get to the turret without either trying to step between them or, as we've just seen there, just going straight in and standing on all those 3 traps. Tabzz, again, is going to be backing off here. He's nicely in the lead in CS, and we're going to see, again, a bit more turret pressure coming down. Nyph going to try and lock them in. Froggen did come wandering, shook as well, but the wards there spotting them out, and Roccat just simply back away from it. No need to risk at this point.
Well, at the top lane, we are also seeing a big build from Wickd. He's starting to really step ahead of Xaxus. Now with that tower down, Xaxus is having to play it very, very careful. When Shook doesn't show himself, he has no idea what's around there. He's only got that single ward, he's put it in towards that Pusch, which does give him that little bit of coverage, but they could easily come around the backside of him. And bear in mind, obviously, Lee Sin, we're going to have that kick. It could launch you well away from your own tower, and with those 2 members, with the Blade of the Rune King, they could put a lot of pressure down on it. We just saw Froggen trying to have a cheeky steal on this blue buff, throwing out those advantageous spears, but it wasn't to be. Overpow takes it.
But very smart here by Xaxus up in the top lane, going towards the Blade of the Rune King by himself, so he's going to be stronger in the 1v1. Again though, Roccat starting the Dragon, Alliance is no way near to try and stop this.
No, they've already got 1 more Dragon than they did in 2 games against SK Gaming, where they did lose out to that one. And we see here in the top lane, actually, Wickd tanking up a couple of those turret hits. We've already seen Xaxus falling earlier on to Wickd, but he still needs to be a little bit careful here. Xaxus, plenty of health and armor there from the makings of that Sunfire Cape, and he's got himself that Cutlass as well. And we've already seen that he can do the damage to Wickd.
It could even be Randuin's Omen now here in 4.5, of course, where Chain West goes into Warden's Mail. So if he decides to go Randuin's Omen, it's going to be more armor, of course, and it's going to help him in the, again, the 1v1 versus Wickd. So he's building with the Blade of the Rune King, with possibly the Randuin's Omen, straight towards beating Wickd in this 1v1, and therefore giving all the map pressure to Roccat due to his teleport and due to exhaust on Wickd.
Nice little play by Wickd and Froggen there to steal away that red buff, giving it across to Wickd as well, so it's going to give
big.
That little advantage in that top lane, like you say. But Roccat tried to reply. They thought simply Froggen had gone to the Wraiths. They came around to the Wraiths and went, wait a minute, he's not there. Oh, they're on the red buff and he'd already taken it. But look at that item. Last Whisper, second item being picked up by Wickd.
Yeah, this is a Renekton who is not going to join in for team fights unless he really, really needs to, because he's going to be fairly squishy and easy for Roccat to take down. It's full on one-on-one here. I know you're going to build armor. Fine, I'm just going to get early armor penetration to do even more damage to you.
And Tabzz just spotted him coming up there. It's like, okay, last Whisper, so I need to be a little bit careful in that one. Jankos has actually come down to the bottom. I wanted to use the word sneak, but there was a ward right on top of his Nyph trying to push things back. Shook is actually coming in as well. Froggen did try and move down, but you see a ring of wards there from Roccat on that route from the mid lane to the bottom lane inside of Alliance's jungle. So that really stopped Froggen from being able to come down there and have any impact. Tabzz again setting up that line of traps to keep Celaver out of range of the turret.
Notice what Xaxus did back there. He used the Pillar of Ice and put a ward in the Baron. He's actually very worried about possibly a 2-man Baron coming out from Froggen and Wickd there. He had no idea. They completely checked it out there. They were so worried because they'd lost vision. The 3, of course, down the bottom there. The fact that jungle was down here would have triggered it. But we are seeing the damage that can come out of Wickd, putting some serious, serious pressure on Xaxus.
He needs to be careful though, going to tower range, and now Xaxus chasing a little bit, then backing off, sustaining well. It was the Sunfire first item for him, so decided not to go for Randuin's Omen yet. Should be an item coming later though.
Yeah, Xaxus putting that ward in Baron as well. I think a little bit worried about Froggen coming up the river and then jumping through the Baron pit to come and maybe avoid all those wards that possibly could have come out there from Overpow. As it is, there's not really any vision whatsoever in that immediate area for them. Jankos actually will be just scanning as he goes through the jungle. Wickd at half HP at this stage of things. They've not seen Jankos as far as I'm aware, but Wickd did in fact just back away from that anyway. Now he's going to be in full vision. That might bring Jankos back in. Will Overpow come up as well? Of course, long past 6 up to level 14 by now, so got the second rank in his ultimate. That's going to do some good damage.
Oh, sneaky.
Jankos trying to sneak around the side here, as you said. Completely got around the back of Wickd at the moment. Overpow's now going to be the focus. Shook's coming in towards him. Can that spear land? Yes, it will. That may well signal the attack. Wickd, meanwhile, in trouble in the top lane. He's using that dominance to try and get away, and he will get taken down by Jankos. And Overpow in the mid lane did escape from Shook and Froggen.
And they can push this top turret here. Alliance needs to react. Either they go for the mid turret or they just let the top turret fall for nothing. And it seems actually staying here to push. But Overpow, he can stay himself to defend.
They're going to take this tower really, really quickly in here as well with that bite coming out of Xaxus. And there will be Rockat's first of the game. Over in the enemy jungle, though, we see that Lee Sin working his way around there, just checking out the blue buff area. And also the wolves there, unfortunately for him, all going to be gone. But that does mean that he can try and come in around the back of the enemy team.
This has been a really long lane phase so far. 23 minutes, as you say. 240 CS we're looking at for Tabzz right now. Finally, Shook is going to join him in this bottom lane. It looks like it is finally signaling. The fact that top turret's gone down, will they push for this one? No, because Jankos is going to join them once again.
Yeah, and I actually feel like it favors Roccat with this longer laning phase because Xaxus gets to the point where he can duel them. They're going in!
They're gonna dive in there, the Collins comes out, there's the solar flare as well. Shook gonna safeguard away, a good kick, but he doesn't knock the entire team up. Now they dive towards Nyph, and here comes Xaxus from the side. Shook is very, very low. It's gonna be Tabzz, they focus, no flashing from Xaxus. He can tank that turret all day long. It's a whitewash for Roccat, 3 kills and a turret.
Teleport top lane versus exhaust top lane. You see the difference right here. Xaxus joining in, picking up 2 extra kill for Roccat. Wickd, meanwhile, he can push the top lane, but look who's coming back. It's the troll.
Man, let's not forget the Mega Inferno bombs always available from Overpow. We haven't really seen it make an impact, but there it is, right on your screen. Clears the minions, stops Wickd in his tracks. Won't be able to get there. Xaxus already teleported back, and they've taken, what, 1 bottom turret down, maybe a second one already before Alliance can respond.
Getting that turret pretty easy there. We saw Karma only just leaving the steps of the base, so that's not just those 3 kills down there for Roccat. They got 2 turrets pushed all the way up to that in-him turret now, and Wickd needs to be still a little bit careful here, I feel. We've seen already that Xaxus has been able to control him quite well.
This is so bad for Alliance. They are falling behind in the top lane, and at the same time in the bottom lane with the 2 turrets, with the kills onto Celaver here, but Froggen actually going very aggressive onto Jankos. Alive for now. 1 more spear though, can do it.
Alliance are going to go and group for the Dragon. They will be there. First one of the game, I believe. Shook tried to steal it away from Roccat. They've had control so far, Roccat, but this will be taken away from them. I think they might want to fight for it though. Jankos has had to, of course, go back away from this one because he's got next to no health. Not sure whether they're going to go 4 members onto this one. Xaxus caught out a little bit by Wickd. Wickd putting pressure down. Froggen's going to join the fray as well. He's going to come pouncing towards him. Remember, he can throw out those big spears. There's the exhaust going down. They're going to go into the tower. Xaxus is going down there. Now the rest of Roccat, they're coming around the backside. Shook and Nyph are actually low on health. This is a risky siege, and they are going to back off.
And risky play by Roccat, moving in only 4 members where Jankos, he had to recall to the base. He would never be able to join, and yet they actually wanted to fight, gave up a kill, and also the Dragon for Alliance.
Oh, Overpow going to throw his ultimate out here. That's half of Shook's HP gone. Are they going to keep chasing? Yes, they are. VandeR coming around the side. He's got the solar flare available. There's 2 men stuck up right there for him. We see Celaver coming in the side. They've managed to catch Nyph. Zenith Blade lands as well. That's a kill now for Celaver as he moves on to a killing spree. Gonna go in there for Shook. The ward gives him vision, and they might be able to track down both Froggen and Wickd right now. Celaver still off to the right-hand side. We can see that Tabzz did take the middle turret in the meantime. He's going to have to now back away because Celaver's coming in. Roccat kind of left their AD carry on his own there.
Such a smart play by Tabzz here. Yes, his team is going up to the red buff. As soon as they chase, he just goes in here. Froggen, though, he's not done yet. And now there we go.
Well, he landed the spear onto VandeR, sort of baited himself in there. If Tabzz would have stuck around, the ace in a hole would have finished the job. Instead, he has wisely rotated to the bottom. He wanted to try and get himself another turret, but it's not to be. So this game certainly opening up here.
Interesting that Roccat gave that Dragon away after taking the previous 2 to that one. That's a big spear from Froggen. Second one not quite landing, but giving that Dragon away was my point. They actually had control of that side of the map as well after taking down the 2 turrets. They backed instead of maybe sticking around an extra half a minute to get that.
But they didn't have the choice because Jankos took so much poke in the mid lane against Froggen. He couldn't join in. He couldn't even be there to smite because it was 1 hit from anyone from Alliance. He would have died. So therefore they needed to back away from the area. And it meant Alliance, due to Froggen doing some very nice work in the mid lane, could get the Dragon and then of course also a kill.
Well, in the moment, Roccat are running defensive duties despite being 7-2 up in kills. And chasing Alliance around the map. Alliance stuck to pushing the lanes. Tabzz continued, took that mid turret, pushed the bottom turret in. There is a bottom 2 turrets, remember. Alliance could easily try and run through if they can get themselves a tactical advantage just like Roccat did. And Wicked's been trying his best to keep that split push going, but now you look at Xaxus' build, you can see he's got that Blade of the Ruin of his own, along with the Sunfire Cape and Ninja Tabby. He's actually not too worried about Wicked right now.
No, killing each other here is very hard between them, but it's going to be even harder for Wicked to kill Xaxus now. We've seen all the sustain from him before whenever he pops his ultimate onto Wicked. Wicked needs to back away every single time. However though, getting this mid-outer turret, due to simply Tabzz staying around when people were chasing around, it's so important because it opens up the jungle now for Roccat. It also opens up for Xaxus, or it makes it scary for him to push all this way out because then Alliance can actually rotate up behind him.
You see that Alliance are actually moving over towards this bottom lane. Tabzz has pushed up the wave already. Celaver is the only one to be defending it right now. He should probably just leave this one because that turret is going to go down and he doesn't want to get caught out as Nyph, well, started to move in there and then they decided the better of it. They get the turret nonetheless. That's all 3 outer turrets now down for Alliance.
And this is the time where Alliance now can group up 4 members in the mid lane and just start pushing all the way up. The outer turrets are gone. The jungle is open for Roccat. They can get these deep wards in, see if someone is moving around from Rocket's side to try and set something up. So let's see if they decide to group up and start sieging down, or if they actually feel like Roccat is still stronger if VandeR lands to engage.
Roccat have shoved that bot wave in. They're going to back off from that one. Wicked has got himself the Randy and Omen completed now, so may fancy his chances against Xaxus. As it is, it's been a fairly stalemate affair in there, but Alliance are grouping up towards this middle lane area. Dragon's up in about 1 minute and 50 seconds, so that could well be an objective they go towards. They have been also putting a lot of pressure and making sure they have control of that red buff. That will be up just before the Dragon, so we'll see whether Alliance try and make a move for that one.
I'll look down some of the items here as well. The mid lane is now pretty much identical builds at this point of things. Rabadon's Deathcap with Athenes, and now the Void Staff's added in for both sides.
Ooh. Both these champions in the mid lane are doing so much damage. If they can land their poke, 1 or 2 hits from them and you need to go back to base and heal up. You won't be able to join the fight. So both lineups got the option to poke away. Of course, as we talked about, there's hard engage on one side, and then there's a lot of annoying traps and disengage on the other side. We've seen Tabzz putting up these free traps down in the bottom lane. Nidalee can do the same, so if you actually want to walk to the turret, you're going to take this damage. Your magic resist is going to get reduced, and it's going to be hard for Roccat to do anything.
Overpow almost executing onto a Nyph there. Ace in the hole being used to force him away. The rest of Alliance are going to try and push up the mid lane. This is the siege that we've had, and they can do it. Wicked is with them, and that means he's left Xaxus all alone in the top lane to push.
So Wicked, he's not able to duel Xaxus anymore, so he needs to join in with the team because of no teleport, and that's why Xaxus is getting all this free farm now. Of course, there's a big wave for Wicked he can go in and pick up, but it means, though, Dragon up in 30 seconds, he needs to clear the wave and then instantly join his team again.
More than 50% damage done onto VandeR there as well with that single spear coming out. Froggen VandeR recalling in the middle of the lane, not something you want to do. There's Froggen stepping up again, but spear not quite got the range. We've got 16 seconds here for the Dragon to come up. This time, Jankos is a lot healthier than before, and you can see that he's already moving into position. He's probably going to be scanning down there just to check things out. Actually, use the scan just previously to that one. There's the blue buff, so they've moved away from it. Looks like Roccat are at least going to get things started off, but Froggen and the rest of Alliance now moving in.
And Wicked already moving in towards the team, so we might actually see a big team fight, or we could see Roccat just trying to stall out the Dragon until Xaxus gets a lot of hits onto this turret, maybe even taking it down.
Spear on Celaver, that may well force Roccat to back away. Celaver's already gone, he's trying to lifesteal off the walls right now. Alliance taking this Dragon very low. Teleport coming in from Xaxus, he wants to join this one. It is going to be a steal. Jankos got in there to get it, but what cost though? That's the problem. There's going to be the culling coming out, not really catching. Solar Flare does. Wicked's going to be the focus target. He's not as strong as he needs to be. There's a lot of damage going on towards it. Shook in trouble. One more shot, one more bomb rattling through. No, Celaver taking low. They turn it back around. Froggen's trying to land the spears, trying to get a pick. It will come through. It's only hit Xaxus, so the tankiest member, and Roccat disengage. While this is all happening, Wicked is pushing the mid lane turret wave. He has turned away. Overpow now caught down low. Can one more shot come out? It will do. Overpow's going to pay the price. He's going to go down. The middle turret will be picked up. You can see Wicked taking that one down. It's a Dragon to Roccat, but it's going to be a tower and a kill for Alliance.
And the kiting potential here for Alliance, they use it perfectly. As soon as the engage comes in from Roccat, they disengage. Every single member continue to poke, continue to land spears from Froggen, who was untouched in this. And as soon as all the engage from Roccat were gone, Alliance just stayed around, kept poking them. You see Froggen chasing 4 members all the way up to the turret, so Wickd can rotate to the mid lane. And then Overpow, he was simply just out of position after the fight.
And that is all with Jankos managing to steal the dragon away as well. We can see they're still in the lead by 1,000 gold. That swing that Alliance have just picked up there with those kills would have been a little bit bigger if they'd have successfully picked up the kill onto Dragon. But they know now how this one could go for them, how strong they are at this stage. We'll see what happens next time that Dragon does come around. And that was pretty much a 5v4 as well. Without Wickd being in there, as you said, he pushed straight up that middle lane. Roccat looking to maybe push some back now.
Well, Wickd was there from the start, but due to his items, due to 2 damage items as the first ones, he was too squishy, so he actually had to run out of the fight, and then he just went straight to the mid lane when Froggen, Tabzz and Nyph just stayed around and poked away and chased Roccat away from his mid lane turret.
Well, we'll see how this game develops. As of yet, neither team wants to budge. Clearly Alliance, they're showing their hand, they know the tactic they want to play, and Roccat at the moment seems to be trying to counter it. If they can land one of those good solar flares, catch maybe one of those carries out of position. Froggen at this stage will be very slippery, very tricky to pin down. Roccat is Nidalee, everybody knows really what it's like. Celaver is playing with his life right now as those spears keep rattling past him. Yeah. Going to do a lot of damage, I would say. For the health, there is one of the picks they needed to make. It's Nyph getting caught out, tries to speed himself up, hasn't got enough to get away with this one. Tabzz putting damage down, he avoids the solar flare. Celaver taking low, Necro bomb comes in, Tabzz is low, he gets taken down by Celaver. Shook's going to be the next focus target. There's going to be the Pillar of Ice, forces him onto the tower. While this is all happening, Froggen is off at the side, trying to land those spears. Jankos so close to coming into it, but this may open the Baron up.
They're going straight for the Baron. I don't think that they're going to be backing away anytime soon, but the spears are going to be a problem for them. They need to get them out of the fight. You see their Wickd can't stand and fight against Celaver and Overpow. Both him and Froggen down at about half HP. Celaver and Overpow continue to zone them out. Froggen now going to take the back route. Someone's got to basically meat shield this Baron if they don't want it stolen away, but it's going very, very low. It's VandeR that is the meat shield, and Roccat get themselves the first Baron of the game.
Very, very good pick here from Roccat. They're waiting in the bush. They put down a pink ward so they knew it wasn't warded and just waited for Alliance to move over there. And Froggen, he's actually not done yet.
He's going to try and keep the pressure on, but it may well be at the cost of his life. Satchel Charge launches him in the wrong direction, and he's saved by Shook, and Roccat get out scot-free. So, Baron picked up. They can keep pushing on towards his tower. Check out this fight, though.
Yes, look here. They're just waiting with this pink ward. Nyph walks in with Shook. He's going to be the target. He's so squishy. From here on, with only 4 members, and now Celaver coming in a great position. The ultimate completely misses from VandeR, but then he flash stuns him, and all this AoE onto Tabzz. Poor little Tabzz here. He's going to die. Boom. Meanwhile, though, in the back, Froggen just waiting around. If he had landed 1 or 2 spears more onto these fairly low members, he could actually stop the Baron, but very good job by Roccat, still juking around and making sure they never got hit.
So a couple of items coming in after that, then Trundle. Xaxus picking himself up the Rando in Zoman. The Spectre's Cowl also picked up there by Ilyas. We also see that 2 Banshee's Veils just came out for them as well. 1 for Leona and 1 for Lucian. So the support and AD carry now got that good defense in there. That's going to save them from a lot of spear damage and really from a lot of CC, or the literal CC that they've really got there.
It's going to save them for the engage Alliance actually have, because their Sonic Wave is not going to connect onto them. Even if it does connect to someone, the Banshee's going to block the kick then from Shook, so it's going to be harder for him to actually engage or for Wickd to come in and stun a target, and then of course they're going to block a possibly very important spear.
The problem's starting to arise now that Alliance are going to be a little bit lower on the wave clear. If they start getting pressured into their base with the likes of Ziggs pounding those bombs out towards you, it's not about keeping them in towards you. And as proven many, many, many times in League of Legends history, if you fall behind and you'll have a poke comp, you are going to have a bad time. And that may well be the case for Alliance. They have to try and land some important picks. They have to land some of those assassinations, just like Roccat did on Nyph.
They need to land the spears, and then they need Shook or Wickd to come around from the flank, so they can actually get on towards Roccat, lock someone down, and then the engage goes. Otherwise, Roccat can always just back away whenever they feel they get too low from the spears. Meanwhile, though, they don't seem scared at all.
No problem here. They're actually just going to bully their way onto that tower. See Celaver, I mean, he is pretty damn strong right now. Trinity Force, Bloodthirster, and that last Whisper in there. Those towers not really lasting too long of a time. The Dragon is now up as well. That's the only perfect timing here for Roccat to just back themselves off, and it's going to just solidify this gold lead. Really wondering now whether Alliance can pull themselves back into this game. I have to mention SK versus Roccat game 1. The way that Roccat played that one when they had the lead, very aggressive, very quick movement through the enemy jungle to switch between towers. If they do that here again, Alliance are going to have such a hard time.
And they're doing the exact same thing here. Tabzz left alone down this bottom lane. He might need to flash.
Solar Flare used, does force that flash out of Tabzz, and now that AD carry is going to be missing his key evacuation, his key escape. Anything is required. Xaxus is going to keep that pressure on that top lane. Mega Inferno Bomb being used by Overpow to keep Froggen away from pushing that midway. They're going to try and group up and go towards Xaxus here. Wickd already putting the Dominus down. He's going to aggressors. Xaxus realizing the danger. He's got his ultimate already down. Subjugate being used. Pillar of Ice will separate himself from Wickd, and Froggen is too late to the party.
So whenever the ultimate is up on Wickd here, Xaxus simply can't fight against him, but he can still sustain it with his own ultimate and just start running away. Then he can stay in the lane, and until Wickd got his ultimate again, he won't be able to duel the troll, and therefore it goes a bit back and forth.
Back and forth, which is what it is maybe like up there, but not particularly in the game. Jankos actually getting caught out here. Let's see how strong he actually is. He's going to get kicked. No, he's not. He repels just at the right time. Shook can't get the damage onto him. There's a cocoon turn around, and Shook all of a sudden finds himself.
Oh,
the calling comes through. It's Jankos that gets the kill, and turned around just like that. Jankos, perfect timing. Tanky enough to take the initial damage as well.
And we've seen this so many times in this game. Every time Shook tries to make a play, Jankos is there, he turns it around in favor of Roccat, doing the exact same thing here.
Well, if that was an FPS, you'd be complaining of being blocked by your opponent, because that is exactly what was happening. Shook needed just someone to step in front of him, someone to take the hits. Of course, they did talk about the wave clear that Alliance will miss. Of course, Tabzz does have that static shift, so it would be fairly strong, but just look at that. They tanked up that turret, no doubt about it. No problems for Roccat. They're going to keep on pushing through. Remember, the Baron buffs run out here. They are a 4v5, and Alliance can't do anything against Roccat right now.
The engage is gone, so Roccat can just push in here. And as you said yourself, yes, Caitlyn, her wave clear is strong, but she's the only one here providing enough wave clear. Karma provides some of it, but she won't be able to instant clear wave. So it means Roccat, whenever Caitlyn is not there, can just push all the way into the turret. And that's another point where Ilyas is still very, very strong, because she is ranged when she goes out of her spider form, so she can always get a few hits on the turret.
I saw Wickd just having to battle a little bit once again with Xaxus in this top lane. They've just been pushing back and forth on that top side of the map. Celaver did retreat back to push out the bottom lane as well, and with that Bloodthirster will be bringing all his HP back up, and there is the calling very fast way to get rid of those minions. He's still yet to die, as is Jankos, as is VandeR in this game so far. And it's only 3 kills over for Alliance, spread between the jungler AD carry and the mid laner there as Froggen taking a big blast. Not quite enough damage to finish him though. Got the heal as well.
We're starting to see some big CS numbers hit by Alliance. Here we are. 400 plus CS for Tabzz. Celaver's not too far away from it. Wicked's almost there. This game, of course, hitting that 40-minute mark with the Baron up in 40 seconds time. And that is a very important Baron for both these teams. If Alliance can maybe win out the team fight, maybe get a steal, anything onto that Baron, it could try and turn the game. But they are 7,000 gold behind this Roccat. And as you mentioned, Roccat, every time they've had a team fight, Roccat have sieged them and landed that solar flare in the right place.
And it's a very, very tanky Leona as well. I mean, Face of the Mountain, of course, with buff T and 4.5, so now provides 500 HP. Then with the Banshees, building in towards the Randuin's Omen as well. VandeR, he can just go in the face of Alliance, and they don't really have anyone to kill the front line of Roccat. When you have Jankos, when you have Xaxus, and now this Leona in your face, Tabzz is gonna be like, I'm doing no damage to anyone.
So yeah, actually an Iceborne Gauntlet being picked up here by Froggen. You can argue that maybe going more defensive than that would have been a good idea for him. Obviously looking for a bit more control in fights, but it looks like this Baron's going to go without Alliance doing anything really about it.
So this Gauntlet actually makes Froggen stronger in a 1v1 scenario, also because he can chase more easily. If he gets onto Xaxus here and he gets him low, he can continue slowing him down, chase him. Also use it to kite back, so It's simply meant because they're at this point now where Wickd can do nothing against the troll, so they need to send someone else down, and Froggen is gonna be the man to do it. Or try to do it.
We'll see if it works out for him. Roccat themselves have grouped up. They're pushing on towards the inner turret in the top lane. That goes down without any problems. Froggen in trouble here. Xaxus is actually laying down a lot of damage. Pillar of Ice, though, will just pounce away from it and actually blocks Xaxus in his tracks. Oh, they're going in on towards this one. Celaver was the focus target. Wickd not strong enough to go up against 4 members of Roccat, that's for sure. Mega Inferno Bomb slung out, does not land. Yes, it does. It actually took down Nyph. Completely nailed him there where he stood. That's going to be an inhibitor turret number 2 and the inhibitor going down. They're going to rotate round. Super minions will be coming up that mid lane shortly. But Roccat, they've already proved they can tank out these turrets. They may do it again.
And this here should mean the game for Roccat. The extended laning phase was in favor of them. They got to this late game point where they had the split push advantage, and also with so much damage and CC in the fights from VandeR here, from Overpow of course, they simply had just a stronger team fight.
Celaver getting a little bit low there, but the 2 others in his team pushing down onto that final inhib, and they were just waiting for those minions to actually come around the side from this one. They're going to start focusing those Nexus turrets as VandeR goes diving in onto them. They don't get the kills there, but they've got rid of the Nexus turrets. The Nexus itself will fall down, and it will be Roccat that pick up game number 1.
Well, it was a solid performance from Roccat, no doubt about it. And honestly, once that